to Atlantic Ocean, upon me hills to country, to educate, elevate, and promote. Yeah, focus on Liberia, for Liberia, Liberia, for Liberia, yeah. From Monday to Sunday. From Monday to Sunday, it's focused on Liberia. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information. Talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
At Focus on Liberia, we discuss everything Liberia, from education to politics, arts and culture, entertainment, agriculture, history, religion, family, and technology. Focus on Liberia uncovers and showcases the best of Liberia and shows the world the truth about Liberia. We educate, elevate, and promote all things Liberia. We conduct interviews, panel discussions, debates, and more. Tune in to Focus on Liberia on Facebook and YouTube and be a part of the stories that make up the news.
This is Focus on Liberia, and I am Dennis Jar.
And I am Anthony Said, plus and welcome to Focus on Liberia, another edition. Welcome. Do us that usual favor, share the broadcast with somebody in your contact. I continue to say the nation Liberia remains the focus. And I continue to say we have a responsibility as citizens to help in whatever way we can, not only to drive the narrative that will lead us to national development, but also that will lead to improving human and material conditions of our people. Political issues, covering issues, that's why we are here to discuss. Seated and ready and joining us from Florida. He is a sedition. He's unrelenting. He's unbending. He drinks from a Sacomorian cup. Adjust your camera. I want to see your six-pack. I'm trying to introduce you.
Right. There you go. There you go.
And now, because he does now want us to know that he's a spinner politically, he wears the Jesus cap. My good friend, Mr. Gilman, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing very, very well from my end, South Florida. Welcome to the great city of Fort Pierce, or you can go to South Beach, Miami. You have a great time. But while I'm having a great time, it is disheartening to see that our brothers and sisters back home are not having the same. Thank you very much for coming.
It's always good to have you. J. Victor Namwe is focused on Liberia political analyst, where experience have been around the terrain of politics and discussing issues of national development, accountability, and justice, democracy, you name it all. He's seated and well suited to be our focus, to be focused on Liberia political analyst. Mr. Namwe, it's good to have you, brother.
Thank you, my brother. It's good to be here.
Anthony Wonder Konyene Freeman cares about the forward march of this country. He has been writing, he has been speaking. He's holding leaders accountable so they can do well for our country. It's good to have you, and he's joining us from the great state of Minnesota. I mean, where would he rather be anyway? How you doing, brother?
Yeah, thank you. I'm in the Twin Cities, and it's nice to be on the show. You know, it's a lot going on back home, and it's nice to have a platform where we can sort of air our view and make our contribution to the motherland.
Thank you for coming. He's the only man who joins us from the nation's capital. He's Jimmy Eastman. Sometimes he comes out as a political diplomat, but he does it his own way. I mean, how's the nation's capital? Is it on fire? Is Trump trying to come back or what?
Trump is trying to do his thing, and Biden is also counteracting. Look like we got some prize for China, but it's good to be able to talk about our national issues. Liberia is what matters to us, and it's a pleasure to be here with these gentlemen to discuss these matters.
Jermaine, your hammer is well pointed, and you nailed it. Liberia is on our mind. So let's see what is on the menu today. Where are we with assets recovery? There was an executive order from the president demonstrating his seriousness to fight the devil called corruption. That team, that task force, that asset recovery office is in trouble. 2 members, and even some are in the background, are complaining. There's no coordination, no communication between team members of that task force and the head of that task force. That is not enough. They are pointing fingers of corruption. There is this big question about around 300,000 United States dollars that he is unilaterally spending on bail bonds. Is this guy yet to actually fight corruption? They think he's up to something. The panelists are seated to weigh in. On the menu also, how was President Boakai's delegation trip to the U.S.? Our president made his first official trip, if I can put it that way, to the United Nations and attended the U.S. African Leadership Summit. Some people felt that he was coming to go home with something in a plastic bag. You know how Papa is coming home, but there's no news yet whether Papa went home with something in a plastic bag. Some people are not hesitating to say, well, the man came and went with empty hands. He spent our tax dollars, and now he's home and nothing to show for it. Is that the case? We will discuss. Also, does it matter whether or not JMB flies a private jet? JMB and his political party criticized President Weah, who had actually acquired a private jet, but then Boakai now is on his way. I think he left the country today, going to Guinea-Bissau. His in-laws are saying, well, the person who invited the president paid for the private jet. What you expect the president to do? He will jump on. And so he flew a private jet today and left the nation. Now, accountability is the foundation of it all. A pro-democracy group called NICMO released a report and graded the president a failing grade of 10%. That's the score, 10%. That's what he scored. So when you subtract that, you know. Anyway, gentlemen, you are well versed with these issues. Let's get started with the first issue here, assets recovery. I will start with a veteran in the room who knows a thing or two about assets recovery and anything bordering legality and all that. That would be Continent. Where are we with the assets recovery? I want people to be accountable who abuse public trust. Where are we? Do you know?
Well, it's very discouraging. You know, from the get-go, I wasn't really a fan of this whole asset recovery task force.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I said they were not a competent authority, and so they really had no standing once it becomes necessary to cross the borders. But I think one of the things we don't do in Liberia is to look at people's track record. Because, you know, we have a parable that says monkey can leave a black hand behind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and leopard can change its spots. So the idea to take Clark Martin and some people that I know on our committee and ask them to go fight corruption without looking at their track record is very disappointing, because I mean their track record is open for all to see. When you think of Clark Martin, just think of Serena Cephas. They have long operated together as a team. Every corrupt deed that Serena Seafood ever did for which the U.S. sanctioned him was done in collusion and coordination with Clark Martin as county attorney for Montserrat County. And the only reason why he went to LACC as chair was because LACC was so satisfied. I mean, the WIA team was so satisfied with him, they allowed him to go there. When he tried to double cross them, that's when they brought him down. So I doubted for once, given the composition of the committee, that they could ever purposely and faithfully execute the purpose for which they were established. And now it's been clear that from the get-go, Clark Martin has started corruption. It's very disappointing, but again, not surprising. That's why you have when you decide that people track record don't matter.
And J. Victor Namwe, you heard Anthony Freeman there talking about this man's track record. He's a lawyer too. So he knows the lawyers in Liberia, and this is why he knows about Clark Martin. But I want you to speak broadly to one's track record in terms of getting the job done. How significant it is, and now that we have accusing fingers pointing at him that he's taking unilateral decisions and spending money.
Yeah, I think track record is what we also got experience, and I have to agree with the attorney. I think it matters a lot. The experience, teaches you, or it kind of affords you the ability to forecast potential pitfalls, because some of the people have been there, done that. Some of the problems you will encounter will likely be problems that you may have already dealt with in your past performance. So yes, I think it matters a lot. Besides the competence, academically, I think experientially, competence is also very, very important. And he's right. There were a lot of eyebrows raised when this commission was constituted. You have a lot of people. I mean, yes, Councilor Martin, he has some track record. I mean, he was with the LACC, so he has some track record of fighting corruption. But there are some people on the team who really have absolutely no track record of anything. Let alone a very sophisticated process of tracking, tracing, and retrieving assets. This is a very, very, very monumental task, that is very technical, it's very academic, very legal. It's a very difficult task. It's not the kind of task you want to bring people in to learn on the job. So yeah, I agree with him. Experience really does matter here.
Thank you. Jimmy, the idea of the individuals appointed by the president to form part of the assets recovery thing. How good was this decision when you look at the work the executive order set in the motion to be done by these individuals?
Excellent. To Councilor Freeman's credit, he said that this asset team was dead on arrival. And let's examine why. First of all, we have elements in place, LACC, GAC, various bodies in place that could do this same work. So why then was it necessary to form an entirely new group who definitely will have duties that will overlap with some of these organizations? So if for strategic reasons, the president found it wise to create such a group, look at a number of people that he nominated to this group. Why was it necessary to nominate that many people, whereas this group is supposed to be strategic? Not only that, but if the chairman or those who will go lead the group found it necessary to hire a certain type of expertise, they didn't have the ability to, because you had already packed the group with various people, many of whom do not have the requisite qualification to do this kind of work. It all appeared to be floor show, a gesture in just to say that you trying to fight corruption, but in actuality, in purpose, it is was futile. And now we see people resigning. We know some people never even went home to take up their post. What was the wisdom and the logic in that? I think making such moves that undermine your credibility, in other words, undermine your any serious intent that you have to fight corruption, is a gross mistake. If you really wanted to do this, why weren't you more strategic? Why did you simply mention all these? Is it just to give people jobs, or is it just to create a sensation? So from what I can gather, after seeing even our own fellow panelist Alex Coffey, who we know had the requisite competence, made him advisor. The man who's an expert in their field, he's merely an advisor to the group. All these were telltale signs that this was not a serious body they put together, or either that it was simply a gesture for floor show. So I think it was a gross mistake on the part of the executive to put together such a ill-founded group that is now dispersing and have not done anything. I think whoever advised him to do this, I think it was one of the worst decisions she could have made. It's a set backwards. It's not just a failed step, but it's a step backwards, because now in the future, what kind of credibility another group will have to pursue this in asset recovery or any other corruption?
All right.
It's a pity.
That may be an understatement. Mr. Goodman, you're wearing the hat, I love Jesus. I hope you also love the president. Because I think someone will argue that the president will wear intention here to put a team together to fight corruption. So I hope you're going to show him some love here. But my question for you, Mr. Goodman, is this. This is what the president took serious. When the president speak, he said, and I mean it. I know you remember that when he said, I'm doing this and I mean it.
That's correct.
This is something he meant, I want to believe. The head of the team is being accused by some members of corruption from the very get-go. What does the president do now so that this effort is not derailed and casting an entire dark cloud in his fight to get corruption behind us?
Well, I think earlier during the week, I have pledged to dig deeper within my soul to say something positive about this administration and about our president. But I will be lying to you that there's anything positive to say. Let's look at the asset recovery team. From an experienced person, those of us who are not into financial crime and financial management, we saw what Mr. Councillor Johnson and his team went through. They laid it out. He laid it out why he told President Weah that it was a goal that could not be achieved. He laid out the layers of steps that needs to be taken and the corresponding budget that is required. If you are chasing, let's say, $2-3 billion outside of the country, you need forensic experts on both Atlantic coasts. And these people come with a hectic cost. Now, he said there are two ways of doing that. First, we have to actually contract with the experts and say, this is what we want done. After you have contracted with them, Then you negotiate whether it is on the processes of either percentage. You take X percentage of what you bring in. All of these things have to be ironed out across Europe, America, South America, Central America, the Caribbean, where is the haven for these monies to be hidden. So all of these things were laid out. So when President Boakai came in, we thought, well, now he has the blueprint. All he's going to do is follow the full step. But $750,000 were allotted to this group off the top without going through the process. He wrote a letter to the Minister of Finance and Justice to have $750,000 available effective immediately. According to Martin Cully, 311,000 of that money was single-handedly removed. A contract signed for an office space without consultation with the group. So these people are men and women who believe in being strong. They do not believe in the process. So this is dead on arrival. Martin Clyde is unilaterally doing things of his own. And it tells you that this is a committee of job seekers and nothing else. And it's just unfortunate, but that's the truth.
Mr. Number, should this concern the president at this point? Because there was a major pronouncement, it was a major effort. Should this concern him, and should he add or wait?
I think for a president, from all indications, who is looking for some kind of success story so far, he hasn't got that many yet. Yeah, I think it should concern him. I really think from the get-go, this whole, I think the only thing that's good about this is the executive order. Other than that, everything else about it that's really falling flat on its face. Yes, the personnel, the constitution that my colleagues just talked about, the number was unnecessarily too large. I think about 25 or so people. And then, of course, the experience, the skill set that some of these people were bringing to the commission, and now they got in the street, their first foray into the process, they were in the streets arresting taxi cab and all that. So it left us wondering as to whether they were just testing something out, were they just announcing themselves, did they really seriously try to get off the ground? And ever since that ill-fated attempt, we haven't heard anything from them. And now, we're hearing what you are referencing, the charges and counter charges of corruption, resignations. I think the Emmanuel Gonkoi, the EEF guy, I think he may have left. Martin Colley is making some threats and all of that. Yeah, I think it should concern the president, because it's one of his signature pronouncements, and it doesn't seem to be getting off the ground. I think it should concern him. I think he should take seize of it quickly and try to find a way to arrest the situation. But right now, as things stand, it's not looking good with the commission. The optics are bad. Not only the optics, substantively, they're looking bad.
And Jimmy, what can the president do at this time? What's the way forward? Because the resignation, the allegation from team members are accusing the chairman of unilaterally acting. These are serious developments that can undermine this effort. If you were advising the president now, what would be advised to him to salvage this situation? The path is not looking good yet.
Okay, this is what he has to do. He has to call a meeting. He is the chief executive, and he's their boss. He has to cite a meeting, and they have to develop a structure and rules of engagement and what they will plan to do going forward. That's how you will revive this group. Let them come up with a definite constitution, how they would proceed, what would be their objectives, so that everybody is on the same page and not one person, the chairman, is allowed to make unilateral decisions. There should be rules and guidelines governing the body. And because it was not well thought through, this whole committee, because it was not comprehensive, that is why they have these mistakes. So what has to happen at this moment, they need to devise a charter, a constitution of how they will conduct, how they will interface with other agencies like them, like the LACC, the GSC. How will they function? It has to be defined, and this is what they need to go through. If also had the chairman the foresight, he would have known this is what he had to do. So again, if it's not the president's fault, but then those who he appointing the people who don't have enough idea about organization and fundamental procedures so that they can do this independently. And I think that's basically why it's a fiasco. He thought he could just simply appoint people and they do it. Our people need to be guided, because a lot of them have done things with unprofessionally. If you, Anthony, in your organization, you have rules and various policies that is already laid out that you have to follow. Similarly, when you're creating this kind of body, those rules and policies have to be outlined, have to be spelled out, so everybody knows what they're doing and what they should not do. You can't just simply throw a group of people together without definite rules of how they will engage, and that is the mistake. So to correct it, call a meeting and start and make sure you develop a constitution or a charter of how they will conduct themselves, and provide the public objectives, what they plan to do, the steps they will take, and how they will be strategic, lacing with the other organizations doing similar things. That it can be revived, but it requires somebody with organization. That's what.
And so, if I may add to Jimmy, I think
Yes.
I agree with everything he's saying there, and I think that the president should concern. I think he should invite these people in and request. My wife always talks something about a workflow. What is your roadmap? How do you intend to pursue this? I think you should ask this question. More than that, too, the president has rescued legislators. Why aren't they conducting hearings? When are these people ever going to get up and do anything? It is within the purview as well. Call these people in and conduct hearings. Look, we're hearing $300,000. You went in the street and started grabbing taxi. Tell us how you intend to do this. Are you up to the task? And they can make recommendations to the president too. I don't think we should just leave it to the executive. The judiciary is already in arms with the executive because they say they are equal, right? They should get equal funding. But why aren't they performing equal tasks? We can't just leave it to the president. Yes, I agree. The president should take seize of this and call them in. But I think the legislature, they should also call them in and conduct hearing, public hearing for that matter.
A point of correction here, Mr. Nangwe. I think you're trying to give the president a pass. As the CEO of a corporation, everybody honors you, their performance. Your job is to do the oversight. Your job, your responsibility is to supervise. You cannot say the legislator should do the executive job anyway, because he has muddled the water so bad that senators were appointing and were also vetting. So, I mean, the line has been blurred so much, the violation everywhere. But this for a man who has 50 years of experience. Okay, I think we were on this show when someone said some people are just good at number two. I think when Mr. Namwe or somebody said that. Joseph Boakai may be good just at number two, but not good at number one, because number one has to think holistically, not in the garage, not anything. You cannot be parked. You have to think holistically. Your hands got to be on 18 different ministries, right? 24, whatever that is. So for you to say the president or the legislators should come to his aid, no. When the president wants something, when he wanted a budget, what did he do? He wrote his budget and sent it to the legislature. And that's how it is. If you want something done, you go and do it. This president is incompetent. You remember during the job we had there, they used that word incompetent. And Mr. Eastman was here also saying they needed competent folks. And these people who are coming in have some semblance of competence. But these people are performing worse than incompetent people. So I don't know whether that is an oxymoron or what, but it doesn't look, there's no silver lining anywhere.
Thank you, Mr. Gilman and Anthony Freeman. You get the final word on that one. I'm sure the asset recovery now is at a difficult place. You are aware that this is within the office of the president. This is Boakai right hand. And now the head, this guy is being accused of corruption. How would they even fight? I honestly, inside information reaching focus on Liberia is that there's no coordination whatsoever. Even the advisor, our own Alex Coffey, communicated with the president that, look, Mr. President, if we don't reorganize this thing, I don't think I can continue here. That's unconfirmed information, privileged information reaching us. The advisor is not happy. Mountain is not happy. Emmanuel left. Other members are complaining against this one man who is the head. Should the president say, what advice do you have for him? I know your advice might not be one to take, but do it for Liberia.
The first thing I want to say is I'm pretty familiar with the people on that committee.
Yeah.
Clamati may not be the only corrupt person there. I know people who may be even worse corrupt than Clamati on that committee. I just don't want to go into that today. But there are people on that committee far worse corrupt than Clamati. So in accounting, we call it cutting your losses. You already spilled $750,000 and you're not getting anything out of it. Instead of allowing the bleeding to occur, you dissolve the committee, open an investigation, and probably if there is like wrongdoing, you punish those who committed the wrongs. But it's obvious Boakai is not going to do that because Boakai's idea of justice is similar to CDC idea of justice. During the CDC regime, the idea of justice was to go after Unity Party people. I think the only successful prosecution they had was Brandon Samoka. And if you follow Boakai, there have been problems with his chief of staff. There have been problems with his induction committee. There have been problems with Unity Party people. He has not taken any action. So I don't see any reason why he's going to open an investigation into this matter. But if I were he, I tell you what, dissolve the committee because it was ill thought of. He had a bad political week and he decided to do something to gain some popularity. They ended up bad. It's a waste of money. And the longer that committee stays, the more money. Because I'm telling you, Clamati is not the only corrupt person on that committee. There are people on that committee worse corrupt than Clamati. So you even move Clamati, there will be other people who will commit even far worse corruption than Clamati. So dissolve that committee so that they don't waste more money. Because the longer that committee stays, the more money they will waste, the more corrupt activities they will get involved in, and the more embarrassing it will be. So save the state resources, dissolve it, open an investigation. Those who committed wrongdoing, punish them. But obviously, he's not going to do it because Boakai is still stuck in the 70s. In the 70s, government was the place you go to get money. And you get the money through the corrupt way, and that was it. And that's the idea. That's why he even put this anti-graft investigative committee in his office. Because they were not really there for justice. They were just there to take instructions so that he can go after his political enemies. But yeah, in terms of what he should do, he should dissolve that committee as soon as possible and start wasting resources.
And one dissolve, how do we fight corruption? Because this is a one.
Oh, but you have LSCC, you have Ministry of Justice, even the new, you have Ministry of Justice, you have the FIU there, you have the police, you have the GSC. So you don't lack institutions. The problem Boakai had is that because some of those people were not appointed by him, so he has chosen not to work with them.
And we'll have
And
the
he
ombudsman
wants,
now, right?
eh?
We'll also have the ombudsman now, right?
He has not structured it properly because you need to establish it by law. And you establish the entity and structure it and give it some specific term of reference that they can operate with. Oh, I want to know you appointed one person. We don't know whether it's going to be another committee. We don't know what rules and regulations they're going to work with. So there's a lot that we don't know. But I mean, in essence, you have like 6 or 7 agencies. Work with them. Start wasting government money. Even like the new, I mean, it's something else. But you have Justice Ministry. Then you set up another office to tell you about war crime. Ask your Justice Minister.
All right.
Ask him.
That was Anthony Wono Freeman. Let's go to something else here before we get to our next topic. So Senator Darius DeLong has expressed his disappointment in President Boakai for President Boakai's failure to release his declared assets and liabilities to the public. DeLong said he's disappointed in the president that up to now, Joseph Boakai assets declared remain hidden. Gentlemen, let me start with my bastard brother here. We're talking about your boy DeLong, Senator DeLong. He's going after President Boakai that he supported. He's like, "No, Pap, you can't do this. You know, I declare my asset. I'll make it. I mean, you the leader of the train. You this is a rescue mission. You know, you said you mean it. So you didn't mean this the publishing of the assets. I mean, what do you have to say? Does DeLong have a point here? And should Boakai yield? Unmute yourself.
You talking to me?
Yes.
Oh, you got two. You got two Baffa men here. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Okay. We have here Senator Dillon is a corn man. He's a corn artist. Darrell Dillon will sell you snake oil for holy oil. He knows exactly what he's doing. Darrell Dillon was the guy who said that if he got elected, he would live among the people and his lifestyle won't change. In fact, he said he would not accept $45,000. That's too much money for a car while the people are suffering and know where he's at. If you see Darrell Dillon, who said that on the plane, even though they caught him in first class, he said, "I'm only here to visit. I went to visit. I didn't even. Why would I be doing in first class?" And he challenged Rodney C., who published that picture, to prove him wrong. And Rodney C. said, "My young man, I supported you to be senator. I caught you in a lie, and you say I should prove it. I'm going to prove it." He said, "Darrell Dillon, when you bought a local ticket from Monrovia to Accra, when you got to Accra, you upgraded your ticket from regular to first class. And here are the tickets, here are the confirmation, this is how much you paid, this when and how you paid." And then he came and apologized that he made his mother shame. This is the same man. So all of these folks, they talk one thing and do another. Let's look at Joseph Boakai, who is talking about unity, unification, unifying the folks. How can you unify a country when you are going after a particular segment? You lay out 750 people from your office alone, Office of the Presidential Affairs, 750. Then you are going to different ministries, different agencies, and you are telling people to move. You are removing the illegal, even the Supreme Court rule against you. You accept what you in public. You say you accept what the Supreme Court ruling says, but then you turn around.
I get what you're saying, but my question was specific. Darius DeLong is holding President Boakai accountable.
This is what I'm telling you. It is not
publishing his asset. I think DeLong has a point here.
It is.
Don't you think so?
It is charade. This is what we call a political facade. Okay?
Are you saying that he does not mean
I think my brother
to see President Boakai release his asset to the public?
I think my
Listen,
brother is looking at the messenger
is-
and not the message. I
it
think we
is-
should look at the message.
No, listen to this. You remember the president said,
I want you to come to my question. You're dancing
I'm coming
around
to the
it.
question.
Number is right.
I'm only telling you.
You're looking
I'm
at the
only-
messenger.
No,
I'm talking
man, this
about the
edition,
messenger.
that's what it do.
I'm telling you, let's look at what the people say. Listen, look at what the person say and their attitude, and compare both and see whether the person is actually mean anything or the person trying to score political point. This is a man
They will
who's
not have the capacity to be wrong and be right. Is he not right on this one?
listen, based on his previous and everything else he has done, it tells me that this is another political point that he has. He found an opportunity here to distinguish himself, to say,
Mr. Goodman, you have to give the senator
Can
something.
I come in there? Can I come in?
Yeah, you need to come in here. You
Okay,
don't
so
I
I
know
think
you have to
Dyan
disagree with
is
Dyan
correct.
on some point here. Go ahead,
I think Dyan is correct. But Dyan should go beyond talking because Dyan is in a position to act. They passed a law for asset disclosure and created no sanctions. And the very Dyan then were in our House or Senate when they passed that law. Now, I don't even know how you call it, whether it's a law when you pass a law and it has no sanction. So as a result, people don't find the need to comply. I think the last I learned was that the compliance was around 15%. And it will continue to be around 15% because when you have a law, there must be punishment for not following the law. But there's no real punishment for not following the law. And if the law was 40, Dyan's best bet is to maybe produce an amendment because his job is to pass law. Produce an amendment and let there be a vote on it. But to go on radio station and, make one or two statements as much as it may be right, but I just think it's self-serving. It is the way they operate. Everything for them is political. Why does he introduce a bill to correct the law? Wouldn't that be a better thing for you to do as a senator?
Fine. Jeff Victor Number, I think Konyene has a point here that, Senator Dyan has a point here that the president is not being transparent here for failing to release his asset that he declared to the public. Saying it is one thing, but how can we hold the president? Is it that there's nothing the senator can do through the Senate to compel the president to be transparent because President Boakai promised transparency? And this senator is saying that the man is not transparent and he's just telling us that is that enough?
Well, at least in spite of Dyan's, checked out, guys or characteristics, I think he has a point here. I have said here over and over, and many others have said that this is a really missed and unfolds error by this president. This is a very simple matter, and I think I have said that, and I think it will leave a black mark on his performance. Dyan is right. This president, first of all, in spite of what the law required, he did not. The law says you should declare prior to taking office and continue to do so while you're in office. He didn't do that. He waited quite a while, but then when he did again, it's still hush hush. So Dyan is right. So what Dyan can also do more than talking, but at least he's doing something. At least he's talking. They should be able to do more. Like I said previously, they have the right to conduct hearings. They can cite people. They can ask questions. They're not doing that. But yeah,
and they can amend the law to require it to be made public. What happened? Why don't Dyan introduce a law for that?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question, and I agree with you. Why isn't he doing that? But I'm saying at least he's gone at least 0.00001% of the way. At least he has raised the issue, and I think it's a serious issue. The president is not late because it is necessary for him to do so. Because when he does, he is setting the tune for his government. The other day, someone were doing the math. I think about 25 or less than 25.
15.
15 exactly. Of his government, people have declared an asset. That is not good. it is important for us to know what these people own or owe when they come into government, because some of them have the tendency to take government money and square off their obligations. We have to know. And some of these people come in here, penniless, and they leave in about, a year or so, they become uber rich. So it is very important. If this person is going to fight corruption, that's some of the things that need to concern him. So it's not enough to just set up, a corruption fighting agency, and then you're not creating an ill environment. I think right now the environment is hostile to the fight against corruption.
Thank you. Let us welcome Pastor St. Salib. Welcome. And sorry, I didn't realize that you've been backstage 15 minutes ago.
Hey,
No
Pastor.
worries, brother.
Yeah. All right. It's good that you have joined in. The first topic we talked on was the assets recovery. We'll give you 2 minutes to get your take. Where we are, I think you are aware that there's resignation and some members of that team accusing the chair, Councillor Cloud Mountain, of not coordinating and unilaterally spending money without their knowledge. There's fire in the room that's supposed to fight corruption.
Thank you for having me on, and thank you all the other panelists for being on tonight. I am sorry I've been traveling. I just got to Chicago, and I thought it was 8 p.m., so I just ran to come on and realized it was 7 p.m. So, yeah, but when it comes to the assets recovery, you see, everything is about methodology. I just knew it was going to be a failure, because the approach to the assets recovery by the time they were appointed, you'd know if somebody is going to fail the way they start. And I just knew it was not really going to go anywhere. They just took over with this overzealousness and started to take wrong steps in the wrong directions. When if you want to recover assets, it's very simple. I mean, get your team together, consolidate things, and my starting point would be at the GSA. Go to the government services agency. They know everything. They have issued out to people. Every government property is marked. You go to every ministry, you see the marker on everything. Even on the cars, you open it, you see under the hood, they got markers on everything. So that would have been the first place to start. Go there and see and take inventory, take stock, and see what has the government given out, what has returned. But they just went there and started impounding cars and doing things. People are quick to take power into their own hands, and then one person wants to be the boss, and relating with the other team members as you should. Definitely, you are headed for failure. So I didn't really see much in it. The entire administration, apart from assets recovery, I think they started with series of missteps, and that missteps, it started from up, so as we say in our Liberian colloquium, the fish starts to get rotted from the head. So if the head is not leading properly, what do you expect the body to do? So that's what happened. I don't see how much impact assets recovery is going to make.
You think it's going to die natural death like we had assets recovery team?
It's already in coma in my own estimation. I don't know what Gimme said on that, but I think the assets recovery is already in coma. It's not going to go anywhere.
And before I get to Jimmy, Pastor Salib, let me get your take on this Dyan criticism, fairly so, of President Boakai for not being transparent enough by failing to disclose his assets to the Liberian people by making it public. Dyan said, this is not right, Mr. President. The thing is that enough? Can Dyan go more than just complaining and whining that the president is not being transparent here? What can he do? What needs to be done here?
Yeah, first and foremost, I like to give people credit when they do well. I criticize when they don't do well. Dyan has the promises he made when he came out as a senator, he's far removed from that. But I watched the clip over and over where he's criticizing President Boakai about not publishing his assets, even though he declared it. And not forcing every other person in the administration to do so, I think it is not unfounded. It takes a lot of courage and the nerve to criticize your sitting president, your president that you brought to power, the leader of your party. It takes a lot of nerve. So I give Dyan credit for doing that. I think President Boakai has to do more. Everything rises and falls on leadership. I think it's the late Miles Monroe that said, yes, I think Miles Monroe, Les Brown, that says, an army of sheep led by a lion will always defeat an army of lion led by a sheep, because it's all about leadership. So if you want to, I'm just reading the 100 days deliverables again, even in the article F of that, just simple to sign. I can go back to it. About corruption, you have not even been able to do the barest minimum. You declare your assets, publish it, and constrain all your other cabinet ministers or members that you appointed that, hey, as we are going to, once you finish your confirmation, you come for your official appointment, you got to sign that. You got to declare your assets. That's how leadership, proactive leadership, exemplary leadership, that's how. But if JMB is not doing it, how do you force other people to do it? You don't have the will, you don't have the moral rectitude to force any other person to do what you, Mr. President, is not even doing. So that, to me, is just a failure. And I'm surprised. Why? Because we said, Josh, we did X, Y, Z, and we were coming to rectify these things. We're coming to rescue, to set in order these things. So you should start from those places. So I'm disappointed at JMB at this point. He got to do better. So Dyan was right. I mean, I support him in his criticism. It takes a lot of courage. I mean, I'm not looking at Yeke Koluba. He's just doing his own thing. But Dyan then brought JMB to power. So to be the one to
Anthony, I just have to differ. I think Dyan is being self-serving.
Okay.
In fact, I think he's been self-serving because his job is lawmaking. That is his job, lawmaking. So when you make a law, and the law is
he's a politician too. He has the right to criticize.
No, it's not only lawmaking.
No, he's not just a politician. He's a senator.
No.
His first job is lawmaking. That's his first job.
No, but look at
no, just a point. I'm making a quick point. Mm-hmm. His first job is lawmaking. Mm-hmm. The first job is not just to be a politician. So if the law is inadequate, the law doesn't provide punishment for non-compliance or late compliance, okay, the law doesn't compel you to publish. If that is a major defect in the law, then you must change the law. And the job of Dyan is to change the law. That's his job. And let me tell you something. Complying with law is like taxes. People don't do it voluntarily. People do it because there are sanctions. So if you pass a law with no sanction, who's going to abide by it?
Yeah, I will give that to you, but it's not only lawmaking that they do. They also do oversight of the executive. So he has the right to criticize. I mean, just because, yes, those are other things he can do. After the criticism, go back to the House and bring up a bill and say, listen, we have to come up with some statutes or some regulation to force all public officials to declare their access to before they take office. So that both things can be right at the same time. But he's right to criticize it. It took courage to criticize your own president.
Gentlemen, I think you're both in agreement. Jimmy, I remember very well when you were very eloquent on this particular law, the what you call the code of conduct. You said that, look, if you make a law saying people should declare assets and there is no accountability when they fail, then it defeats the purpose of the law. You said that very cleverly here. This is where we are today. But what is also good here is that the leader, in the absence of deficiency with the law, can set a precedent that others will follow because he is the captain of this. Well, I understand this is a rescue train. He's a conductor. Now the conductor is caught in this thing. How do we go from it? Can Boakai write this thing? Can he redeem himself with this failure to publish the assets? Or the damage is already done?
Good question. And I'm going to have to agree with many things that the panelists have been saying. Mm-hmm. We already seen that there is a fault with the law. The law stipulates that you have to declare your assets, but not make them public. Now, why is he going and criticizing the president for not making his assets public when it's not the law? if what I think we see in play here,
Because
Dylan,
transparency requires that, Jimmy. I think that's why he's doing it.
but it's not law. That's what we've been saying here. You've been transparent, and you've been transparent, but you follow the law. If the law stated that you have to expose it, then it will be something to talk about. But it's not the law to make it public. So they need to revise that. But there's something else at play here. You notice that Dillon and Nyombli, they're the ones who made their assets public.
Mm-hmm.
You see, there's a lot of power broken going on here. They have that one block, the Dillon Nyombli block, and all of them have their eyes set on the next term of power. Everything they're doing now is to consolidate their position to remain in power. And so this criticism that he's giving Boakai, he is posturing for his own intent. And what I believe we are going to see is that there is the beginning of a fallout between in that rescue group. We're beginning to see some dissipation, because this is not a constructive criticism that he's making. Because the president does not have to declare his assets. So why is he going there? I think we were about to see.
He has to declare, but it's not imposed by law to publish.
Publish it. So why is he making this criticism when the man did not do it? I think we're seeing some fissure in this.
Jimmy, are you saying the criticism is not fair?
It's not in place.
But it's fair.
It's not essential. Okay, the man doesn't have to do it. You did
but
it.
Is it fair or not? That's my question.
It's not legit.
The whole part about it.
Law.
Yes.
Jimmy, let me.
The law should say that he has to do it. Just what he said. He needs to correct that law and say from now on people need to make it public. He ain't talking about that one. He talking about why he didn't make it public.
Jimmy,
I think it would have been better if Mr. Dillon has gone to meet with the president and sit with him and had a one-on-one and to see how they can better do these things before coming up and criticizing where the president says no. Okay, then you can come up. I'm trying to agree with
in a political theater. That Jimmy is reading far into it and say, "Well,
that's what I'm saying." I'm trying to agree with Jimmy. I think there is something.
No, but Mr. Sally, you giving him too much, because first of all, if Dillon was legit, okay, when Joseph Boakai violated the law by appointing.
What do you mean legit? Did you mean to say sincere about this?
I would say no. Well, yeah. Let's use it. Okay, let's use your word sincere. Let's say if he was sincere, that would give him some legitimacy in what he's doing. When the president appointed him, he is in a separate branch of government to sit as a veto, and recommend people to the committee that he would chair himself. And then he recommended his sister-in-law. I mean, these are all violations. If this man didn't see that, but then come here now and say this is what in the old Liberia, Jimmy just said it's self-serving, and we say flow show. But the legitimate, the legal aspect of this, which was the violation of the Liberia Constitution, okay, separation of power, they demolished that. And he's a beneficiary of that demolition of the Constitution. So for him to come here now and say, it's the same like Amara Conan. Amara Conan said the Minister of State for Presidential Affairs should be fired because he's corrupt. But instead of taking it to the floor where he has power, he wrote the president. I mean, these are the things we are trying. These people are not serious. Thank you.
And I think Mr. Jimmy, you have a point there, because Mr. Boakai at first was in violation of the law. Dillon never said a word.
He never said
He
anything.
waited and probably was praying for the president to save himself. The president did, and that was it. And now, anyway, you got to find out where.
If y'all let me land, I just wanted to land on one more thing before.
Yes, quickly.
And you notice that the Dillon and Amar, all of them have issue with the president, the Minister of State. You see, the Minister of State, it has a certain power because of his proximity to the president. The Dillon bloc, the Dillon Youngly bloc, they don't like the idea. They're trying to break that power. They're trying to do everything to undermine that power structure, that group around the president. So all these things what you see coming up is a battle, is a power battle to influence this administration to do the things that they want them to do. But the Grisby group has been doing certain appointments. They are running with certain things that the Youngly, the Dillon group is opposed to. So that is what we are seeing more and more. Just what you say, they call for the man's resignation. What has the man done so much? They are after Grisby, and that is where we see the criticism coming from behind Boakai now for declaring his asset. They're trying to attack that power group. That is what's going on.
In all fairness, though, whether that is what they're up to, has the president given Dillon reason to criticize? Did Grisby give American a reason to criticize and even call for his resignation?
Well, we know what happened with the NASCAR, where vehicles were bought outside the normal process. Okay, and there have been certain appointments being made that were not in the approval of those in the Senate. The pro tempore, we heard them removing the names and all of that. It's a power struggle. That's what we're seeing here. And Dillon is just that's just the first fire across the brow. Dillon is one thing we have seen that he is a politician through and through. He's throwing these stones to undermine some power. And that power is in the Minister of State and in the president's hand. That is why he's up to. And we'll see more of this coming in the future. More
folks in cyberspace, if you are just joining us, we want to say welcome. Share the broadcast with somebody. Of course, you are watching Focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Pastor S.T. Salif is seated. He's a sustainable development coach. J. Victor Namo is Focus on Liberia political analyst. Jimmy is a host here at Focus on Liberia, as well as Mr. Jerome Gilman, a solution who doesn't apologize for the political views. And Anthony Kanyane is also here. He is our guy when it comes to accountability. Gentlemen, our next dish on this menu here is the president and delegation trip to the United States. They attended the African Leadership Summit, they call it. And the president has returned home. Liberians have gotten used to our leaders leaving and coming with some announcement of 1 million, 2 or 3. I classify this as old man Baker policy or approach with our development partners. It has not gotten us anywhere. Did the president have a successful trip to the U.S.? Let's start with you, Pastor Salif.
Well,
what do you make of the trip?
Yeah, that is a question that you or me cannot answer, because whether the trip was successful, we were not part of the trip. And so they have not told us anything. At least he came back from the trip. He has to brief the nation what the endeavors were during the meeting, who were the people they met with, who were the partners they were able to collaborate with. We did not attend the meeting. So let's wait to hear what they brought back from the meeting before we can declare whether the trip was successful or whether the trip was a failure. But I mean, we have to be authentic, so I won't want to go by rumors. I mean, people that were close to the trip, they told me it was a failure, that it was just a disaster. So I will wait until I can hear official report from the trip from the press secretary from the executive mansion, then I can make my comment. But for now, we don't know what they brought back. We don't know what happened there.
When they came, the president was questioned by the media. He just said that they attended the meeting and they discussed with development partners, and it's a normal thing, and they did that, and they made friends, and sometimes these friendships can translate into something, and those were the words of the president concerning the trip. He did not have any big announcement to make. But my question I have now, and I come into you, J. Victor Nambe. First, the delegation was 26. It was criticized. They said they had reduced it to 9, but other people are saying the number of persons who participated far more than 9. That is one issue. And why is it that we have not gotten a report? Why is it that we didn't get periodic updates from this team that went with the president to inform the Liberian people the day-to-day activities of the president during the whole trip? Any reason why?
Well, Mr. C, for full disclosure, I sent you a photo. I met with the president. I was in Atlanta.
Okay, go.
Yeah. So I met with the president, and we sat. We sat with him for maybe about 20, 25, 30 minutes or so in eating listening. I was a part of the Yola delegation, and we partner with our local chapter, the LAMA, Liberian Association of Metropolitan Atlanta. But during our meeting with the president, and I think that I believe there is a full report forthcoming. But for about 20 minutes, he kind of ran us through what they had done ever since they started the trip from Texas all the way to Georgia. In fact, we went to the meeting. It should have happened at 4, but we were at the hotel. Yeah. So we were at the hotel until I think after 5 o'clock or so, because he was locked in another meeting. So he did tell us that there were a number of people had expressed interest in coming to do business with Liberia. He named some of the people, including the possibility of reestablishing the Delta flight route to Liberia. There was talk of Georgia Tech partnering with one of our institutions. I think there's a $5 million in the pipeline. The Consul General of Liberia was at our meeting. She also made a report. Then the foreign minister also came in and also ran us through on some of the things that they had been able to discuss to bring people to Liberia. The president also indicated that his primary concern is he wants to attract and encourage people to come to Liberia, but he wanted commitment that will not only come to extract from Liberia, but a commitment, a two-way traffic where the investor will be getting their money's worth at the same time the locals benefiting. I think that's what he said. He's trying to tie these people down to. So again, this is what we were told. As I say in the meeting, hopefully a formal report is forthcoming. But it sounds to me like they made some moves. I think it would be naive for any of us to assume that this meeting would have probably been the meeting that would have witnessed the conclusion of any bilateral or multilateral agreements or undertakings. I think this meeting, if anything, it was intended to plant the seed for what hopefully is going to come forth. So yes, the question is quite right. When is the formal report? I think you should address the nation on what they have been able to do, and indicate to us, what it is that they did. I think a full report should become. But yeah, the meeting with the president was very encouraging. He was very, very personable, and he was pretty sharp. I was surprised. He was speaking without anything written on paper, but he was able to run us through. There are several photos. There's a whole round table where we sat, and had to come before we went to the bigger meeting, and he sat through that meeting, After the presentations, he took question and answer. There were a lot of concerns expressed. The Liberians in the meeting who want to come in to invest into the country. They wanted assurance of an investment friendly atmosphere, and the president indicated, that he understands that there are a lot of Liberians in the diaspora who have been very, very helpful and have contributed immensely to the budget, the investment climate of the country. He's grateful for that, and that they're going to do everything possible to encourage and facilitate Liberians returning home to help rebuild their country.
Thank you,
So
Mr.
that is my take on that. I agree. I think a formal report should be made. Hopefully that is forthcoming. So I'll leave it there for now.
Thank you, Mr. Nambe. And Anthony Koine, this is not new. We had Ellen Johnson Sully. She was the darling, attending all the meetings with these handlers going here and there. And she left. Even the road to RIA was left just like that. And she left us with an airport that only Chinese people gave us $53 million. And it's not even up to international standard. So we've seen these kind of meetings before. This we're just going there, oh yeah, we want this, we have these challenges. What should be the approach now? I don't think this approach of just going to a meeting, telling a sorrowful story about your country, explaining problems. I don't think we'll cut it. Let alone beyond just going to the meeting, because this is obvious. As a president, they invited him to this meeting, so he needed to be there. And the people that invited him wanted to talk to him, so they talked to him. I don't see that as anything. If my friend invites me to his house, say, my man, I'm having a birthday party, come, I show up, we will lecture and we eat. That's it. Something has been accomplished. And then I return home, and then what? My son is hungry because you're not at that birthday party? Come on. We have to find a way. What should be that way to engage the development partners so that we can carry massive investment home? We need investment in our infrastructure in particular. What should we do?
Oh, it's me, right?
Yeah, that's you, Koine.
Okay.
You're explaining part
Thank
of
you
it.
very much.
He went to sleep.
I think this meeting is a kind of meeting mostly for your commerce people. That's how it appears to me.
Mm-hmm.
So it isn't really the kind of meeting you go and sign papers. But the government has to have a holistic view of what attracts investment. Just showing up to a meeting, shake hands, is not sufficient. When people want to invest, the first thing they want to know is whether they will be able to make profit. Is it possible for them to make profit? The next thing is whether the investment is safe. Is it likely to be expropriated? Or whether there's the rule of law, whether the rule of law is in place. And things like, what happened with that Jessica Lloyd case and other things like that, the 100 million cocaine case, those are things that give people reason to doubt that, from the rule of law perspective, the investment can be safe. I also think this idea of regularly looking abroad and misusing or abusing your budget at home is not going to cut it. Boakai promised in their campaign platform that they will cut back on recurring expenditures. Instead of cutting back on recurring expenditure, he's expended it to over 90%. Now, some of the things that will bring investors, like the energy, like the roads, transportation, those are things that has to be made available. And so, but when you lower your capacity because you are consuming almost your entire budget, the tendency of upgrading your what should I say, infrastructure to the level that investor will feel comfortable to come, so it's difficult. So I think we have a wrong perspective of investments. The idea that we can just go to a meeting, we shake hands, we take pictures, and somehow we sign agreements. I think the ability to make profits, the safety of the investment, our capacity to adhere to the rule of law, to adhere to contracts. Take a holistic view. That's my view of how you go about these things.
Pastor Selly, same question. A prominent Joseph Boakai supporter, my friend George Lobo, throughout the time said, President Weah was just going to take pictures. And the achievement for attending this meeting was just about taking pictures, photo ops. How is this different? And my major question here is, how do we engage these development partners differently? With what? What is the story we should tell now? Because like we're telling the same old story that doesn't sell anymore.
Sure. You see, the meetings on their own are not bad. The meetings are not bad. They're good for networking. It's good. But the story doesn't start at the meeting. The story we have to tell have to start at home. You can tell your story at home without attending those meetings, and the partners will come looking for you. When somebody is thinking that businesses are thinking of going overseas to invest, there are few questions they have when they do their feasibility. The first thing that is on their mind is security. How is the security of this territory we want to go invest in? That's the first thing they're thinking about. They're thinking about energy efficiency. Are we going to spend multi-million dollars trying to generate our own energy efficiency? They think about healthcare because some people are coming with their families. How are they supposed to cope? They're talking about infrastructure. We don't have those things. So you can go to that meeting, you will only take picture. When you finish taking picture, Ghana that did not go to the meeting, the investors will go to Ghana because they are telling the story at home. They got the infrastructure. They invested in the infrastructure. They invested in security. They invested in so many things. They are trying to fight corruption. Those are some of the things that investors are looking at. So it doesn't matter how many meetings you attend. You can go there, sit in the White House and watch football game with Joe Biden like George Weah. It doesn't matter if the story is not being told from home. If we don't work on our security, we don't work on our infrastructure, we don't work on fighting corruption, we don't work on healthcare, we don't work on all these things, nobody's going to come. The meeting is not the thing. What are we doing at home? That's where the story starts. Once you start doing those things at home, people are watching, people are saying, so we are inundated with information today through social medias and everywhere, and governments around the world, investors around the world, everybody is watching. So people come in like Cornelia said, a businessman, the only thing he sees is profit. And he's not going to make profit where there's no security. He's not going to make profit where there's efficient energy efficiency, where there's efficient infrastructure. He's not going to make profit there. So the story should not be told at the meeting. The story should be told at home. And when we go into the meeting, like I said, I think we were on the show before they went for that meeting. I said, JMB and his team should have sat down first and come up with a talking point. This is what we're going for. This is what we want to achieve from the meeting. And somebody challenged me, oh, are you saying that the president and his team, they didn't do it? They didn't do it because everybody went there and were talking they were burning their candles from different ends. So it becomes ineffective. Let the story start at home.
Mr. Gibman, you run a non-profit institution. You go out there to find money, to run your institution to do good. How do you do it and you are succeeding and getting the revenue or the money you need to run your institution? What can our government do? I mean, how can we engage these development partners, and what can we engage them with and how to succeed here?
Well, great question. I said this over and over when I used to serve with the chamber. When you go to these events, you are going to basically steal company from other places you wanted to come to you. And for that to happen, you have to give them reason why they should leave Ghana, that have everything that will tell you, listen, like I keep saying, when Florida shows up, we're telling you we have our sunshine, we are family friendly, we got Disney World, We got Miami, we got the beaches, we got everything, we got good school, we got no taxes. You don't have to pay no state income tax, no city income tax. All of these things, these are things that will attract people to your state. Now, if we say Liberia, I would have thought, if you really want to create job, it's in manufacturing or mass production. For instance, these calling centers, right? These calling centers that when you call AT&T or any other places, is in India or the Philippines, they got about 500 to 1,000 people sitting in a huge warehouse and they're taking calls. But for that to happen, you have to have internet connectivity, reliability when it comes to internet. You have to have your power sources in place. Electricity and internet, those two things, when you have them, people can come to you and open their warehouses and their call center. So I thought this new government will come in and say, you know what, we'll concentrate on the utilities, that is the light, and then the internet connectivity. Those two things will create jobs in a massive way and create the economy. It will boost the economy. It will actually generate more income that you will get from going out here. But our folks, when we're talking about ROI, what is your return on your investment? If you're spending $2 million to come to the United States, here we have our, I think the finance minister and the
sitting on the floor.
Yeah, the press secretary sitting on the floor of a major investment conference. Why they're doing that, nobody knows. Just the etiquette. It shows that these people don't know what they are doing. They have no clue. So here we are. I don't know what they're looking for in there on our laptop that they can't find. They're looking all over the place. So the presentation, I mean, when you talk about the aesthetic, when you go to these things, the way you present yourself, it has to show, you have to exude confidence and knowledge. When you go to Liberia, the person asks you, why am I coming to Liberia? What is so attractive about Liberia compared to the other countries? Then you start with the war time thing. We just came out of war. Now let's look at the return on investment we're talking about. The last flight I went to Liberia from Delta, I was on that flight. The flight was full when we left New York, right? We got to Ghana. 95% of people got out. We were 17 people that left on that plane that went to Liberia. You tell me, do you think Delta is willing to fly from Ghana to Liberia with maybe 17, 20 people on it? Is it a good business decision? I don't think so. You can talk all you want to talk. It's the bottom line. So, Mr. Namwe, with all due respect, I don't care what Joseph Boakai tells you about Delta coming back and all of that. It boils down to the bottom line. If the Liberia, I took somebody to Bassa to take over the flour mill. They left Iowa. They went to Bassa. They did all their research, came back. The man, after 5 months, they came back and said, Mr. Gamer, we cannot do it because the numbers just don't add up.
Yeah.
They said the Liberian flour mill, the money they were making was not from the Liberian market. They had only 10,000 customers. Their base was in Europe and Asia, where they were shipping flour. He said, we are not ready to do that. So the numbers have to add up. If the numbers is not there, you cannot return anything on your investment. Thank you very much.
But to that point, business is all about numbers.
Yes, let me just say a quick thing, Mr. Lee. Listen, Mr. Gaiman. There are some factors here that are militating against us reaching the critical mass in terms of passengers going to Liberia. But there are a lot of Liberians who go to Liberia. You are there, and you go, you meet Liberians, but they're flying different routes from Air Kenya to Air Morocco. One of the reasons is that if we can find an airline that will shoot from New York or from Atlanta straight to Rawlsfield, we will get a critical mass because the cost is one of the determinants. If Delta can give us an affordable price, the numbers, you will see the numbers. I just want to throw that in.
Yeah, but
you were 17 on that.
It's time for Jimmy, please.
Wait a minute. You were 17 on that plane because some of the people were flying other flight. Delta is very expensive right now. Not many people are flying Delta.
I mean,
most of the people are going with Air Morocco or Air Ethiopia or Air or Kenya, because those are the airlines that are affordable. But yeah, you can go ahead, Mr. Story.
Jermaine?
yeah, I want to reiterate some of the things Freeman and Mr. Gaiman said. In economics, there's a concept called opportunity cost. The money I take to invest in what shoes or whatever I want to do, business, I could take that same money and do something else. In other words, the money the businessman would take to invest in Liberia, 9 million, 10 million to 1 billion, they could have taken that same money, invested in their home or in another place. So just because there is a slim opportunity in Liberia that is not an incentive enough for a businessman to come here. Delta Airlines used to fly to Liberia from Atlanta. Why did they stop? Okay, there's a lot of opportunity cost there. Are they going to waste the plane, the pilot fees, where they could be going somewhere else and picking up a lot of more passengers by far easier? Why take that risk? What is so profitable of that of the Liberian route? And that's what businessmen look at. What we are not seeing here. I heard Mr. Nambi talking about Mr. Boakai spoke well. This man been speaking well for 40 some more years. This man been several ministers. He's been knowing how to talk. But that's not what you need. That's not what Liberia needs now. We need aggressive actions right now, not talk. If you wanted to bring business in Liberia right now, you have to take draconian measures against those people at commerce, all those different people at the different points who do
Jimmy, draconian
bribe. Yeah, shouldn't draconian wouldn't be the right.
Jimmy, put that word back.
Draconian. You drastic, not draconian.
Draconian. I'm using the word draconian.
Jimmy, that baby.
Let me tell you.
No,
in certain countries, if I can't remember, if a tourist, if you steal from a tourist, the whole town will be you. Because they know that tourism is what they're depending on, and you're taking it and you discouraging the tourists, you hurt the tourists will not come back. You have to take draconian measures against those things that is impeding businesses coming to Liberia, that is impeding businessmen doing business in Liberia. All those things that you take measures against them, fire them, jail them, so that business people will want to come. Or we can't keep offering our minerals. The only thing they want to do now is sell our Malagisi Mountain.
Yes,
you have to create the atmosphere for people for people to come here, and that first it requires cleaning up your act, making the environment conducive for people to come. Okay, you can talk for now till your face turn blue. If you are not doing the things that will make a difference, that will change the narrative about your country, people know better and people will not come. Look at American people going to Ghana, where Liberia was created as a haven for all people, all Black people in the world. What are we doing that they don't want to come here? We're not being sincere. And the fact that he went to this business meeting, if you didn't go there to offer extremely good opportunities by creating the atmosphere that they will be conducive to, so we're taking these laws against them, we've provided this free zone for businesses to profit, we will not tax you for X amount of years. You have to bring something to the table. But this just being there and somebody will just look at you and feel sorry for you and invest in your country, that's not going to cut it.
So let me remind you, Jimmy, during my statement, I said a consul general who has been in this business with Liberia for over 50 years, Cynthia something. She was at a meeting and she spoke very, very favorably about Delta resuming services to Liberia. So
is she part of Delta? Is she part of the Delta Airlines?
Well, they had a meeting with the airline people even before they got into metropolitan Atlanta.
Yeah, but
The
Victor,
the first
Is-
meeting
is
happened
it-
at the airport.
Is this the conclusion of a discussion with the airline? And has a decision been made and she's announcing that decision, Mr. Nabwe?
I wouldn't know if conclusive decisions have been made, but I think she was very bullish. She was
yeah,
very bullish.
but Victor, watch this.
And Victor, we've seen this thing before. There are a lot of things that have been said that we've never seen.
Let me just interject, Mr. C.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a misplaced priority. Why should the president of Liberia be trying to bring back Delta? Why can't we bring back Air Liberia? Listen, I flew a little bit. I understand about a little bit about aviation. Okay, so there are so many airlines out there looking for outlets, looking for routes. Why would I want to go back Delta if I'm trying to really create jobs? Why can't I go talk to other airlines to come and fly on a Liberia carrier and create jobs and do things for your people so that your people can have an efficient airline that can, match other airlines, and they can even pay lesser? They are private, I repeat, private individuals in Africa that own airlines. And Liberia as a country, are you telling me we cannot revitalize Air Liberia? We cannot go and talk to other aviation, other companies in the aviation industry and bring them to Liberia to revitalize airline and create jobs for Liberia? We have to go back Delta. I don't care how much they talk. Delta's not going to come because they are running the numbers. If I'm going to take empty plane from Ghana to Liberia, you know how much to pay all the in-flight crew, to pay fuel, to pay ground crews, and then run their offices in Liberia and do that. How much are they going to make? It's not about backing them. They're running the numbers. Business is number. If they don't see the number, they're not going to come. We should be going there to bring in people to revitalize Air Liberia. That's what a serious government would do, not to go back Delta.
And before that, we don't even have gas. I'm glad you're in the aviation area. I myself was in it. I work with Air Liberia. They set up a school for nothing. We're not even filtering gas at the avgas.
Of course. This young man, he only flew to Liberia. He didn't have gas to return.
Exactly. All the landing systems, nothing hardly working in the country. Then you talk about an airline like Delta. We are not doing our homework.
So they can be flying and the light at your airport will go out.
We're not doing it. I'm
in the airline industry. I've been working there for 12 years now, going to 13. So I know when it comes to air operation. All right. My little brother just came from Liberia, and he said they landed, and they were telling them, hey, you people need to hurry up and get on the bus so that the plane can leave. We don't want the light to go off.
Yeah.
This is a situation. So I don't care you cry in front of Delta. They are making a business decision that will lead them to profitability. They're not going to look at your cries. I know someone said Delta used to fly to Liberia. You know what used to happen? They used to pick people bags. And the liability was falling on the airline.
Yeah, they spent too much money.
They were not making profit. Airline, once they're not making profit on a particular route, they eliminate it.
But even Victor, if Victor was CEO of Delta, he would never resume flight to Liberia.
So, gentlemen, let's leave it there. Let's go to our final topic here. We want to take some calls here, folks, in the cyber space. If you want to participate, the number is right there on the screen. 605-313-6004. The code is there. Don't hesitate to enter 791-403#, and you will be given an opportunity to participate in the discussion. Gentlemen, our final issue here, NITBO graded the president 100 days with a score of 10%. And, that is a huge failure that the government scored 10%. Most of the, I think 107 interventions the government promised to make or initiate and complete in the 100 days. I repeat, the government promised that they will initiate or make 107 interventions within 100 days. And what happened? Here's the chart. Let me show it here quickly. I want to be on point here. So yeah, it is. So the government completed 11, that is 10%. We have 45 in progress, constituting 42%. not rated, meaning they couldn't get to those ones. Maybe that's the grading institution could not get to those ones. 51%, 50 projects or initiatives or interventions, constituting 48%, the total of 107, which is 100%. Of the 100%, 10% completed. And they are saying this is a massive failure. 10% the score. I listened to Senator Wesonga Finley of Grand Bassa County. Your Bassa brother said the government scored 0. I said, oh, where did the man get his barometer from when giving Joseph Boakai in the Unity Party? He said they scored 0. Yeah, quickly, we have to go to the colors, gentlemen. Let's get your take on this. This thing has been beaten to death now with the government, whether they achieve the 100 days deliverable.
Let me come in quickly, man. Let me
all right,
get
Jimmy,
clear.
go. Okay.
These honorable always gotta go first.
Yeah.
It's an insult. I don't know how to explain anything to you. It's an insult to some people that word you using. Let me just let you know. Some people are
I know you don't
them.
mind insulting. I'm just messing with you.
Who are not you trying to call me if I'm from China, you trying to call me Japanese. Why are you calling me Japanese? I'm not Japanese. Okay? So here is why I want to say I don't like bashing this government because I believe we need to rally behind the government and move it. Simply bashing the government does not help for several reasons. One, it kills the morale. We got Liberians right now, they're already discouraged, they already don't see, and by us adding to their misery, by painting a gloomy picture of our country does not help us. We need to be on the upbeat. We need to be positive. I totally agree with being positive. But what we must do, show the fundamental things that need to be done in the country before it will progress, not just bashing the country. So this 10% that was accomplished, I see even the people in the Senate saying this, that's not the important thing. How much of the fundamental things have we done that will move the needle later on? Now, if we only did 10% of the fundamental thing, but tomorrow we can build on it, we have a future. But if we have wasted time doing things in silos, do only development yet that will not be able to translate to another development, we have to coordinate the development. We have to make sure that every little penny we spend will bring back, Mr. Gaemon talk about return on investment. And if we're not doing that, then we just keep on falling behind. We are playing catch up. All the nations are going. So we have a lot of catching up to do. But we have to do the main things first. The fundamental things is like you're building a house. You say you're building a house. First I say, you got a land? Oh, land there. Oh, you know what size of house you want to build? Well, in that house. You know what kind of foundation you put, that sandy land, that swamp land? You know what kind of foundation you want? I don't think about the foundation yet. No. You have to do the fundamental first. Then you can build on and build that house. And that is all we want, what we're looking for the administration to do. We don't expect them to do anything much in one administration, but start laying the foundation that the next generation can come and build on it. That's all we
and you think, Jimmy, they're going to get to it? They have time.
If they have to get to it. That's the only way we will progress.
All right. Carol?
One of the things that gets to me is for folks to think that our intelligence is so low that it can do anything and we should accept it. I'm looking at some of the completed here. Fire truck delivered to the airport is completed. One fire truck. That's a deliverable. And then here it says here, the president have begun to constitute a board for LCAA, completed, have begun. So if you're trying to tell us that these things are things that were objective, that were set aside, when in our industry, when we talk about objective, we talk about measurable goals, things are outcome. If you're going to say, well, one fire truck was delivered at the airport. That's completely objective. Then you try to tell some of us here that we are so stupid that we can't tell that an entire airport. You're not talking about the electricity. You're not talking about the safety. You're not talking about air flight. You're not talking about the runway. But you're talking about one fire truck was delivered. Then you try to tell us who know a little better that we are either stupid. We just take everything carte blanche. So I mean, we didn't say it. I told you I didn't expect much, but for this report to come out and it's clear, 107 objectives, only 10. I mean, how else can you say that? I won't even say 10% because then I'm trying to be negative. I would say 90% fail. 90%. So, Mr. Namwe, you say we shouldn't, Mr. Eastman, you say we shouldn't bash the government. But if your son came home with 10% on an exam, why other way can you say, then set him down and say, young man, I'm going to take all your benefits from you. If you don't bring these grades up in the next 6 marking period or 9 weeks, you're not going, I'm taking your phone, you're not watching TV until something is done. You talk about being draconian. This is when the supporters of this government, those who support the government, we supposed to say, this is when we need to be draconian, that we are not going to accept fire truck to be an achievable goal at the entire airport that has no electricity, according to you. Okay? You got to hurry up and get out of here, get on the bus before the light go off so the plane can leave. We should do that, and you want investors to come. Thank you very much.
And Mr. Gilman, well said, right? Gentlemen, let me do something so we can get a sense of the report and those also watching. For example, in the 100 days deliverable, the government promised that they will ensure the provision of medicine to all government hospitals. That was their promise in 100 days. Yeah, what's been done? Now, this is what they said. Availability of essential medicine and medical commodities are primary public health facilities across the country in 100 days. That was their promise. What did they do? Medicine for All People. It is an institution that donated $1.8 million worth of medicine. So this is an institution that said, well, let's donate some medicine to the government. It is the donation from an institution now they are classifying as their achievement. When they told us, they said they were going to look for that medicine and find it, purchase it, and make sure that we have medicine as our primary health centers. They never did anything like that. An institution saw it, said, well, let's go to the people here, and now it is their achievement. And that's why Mr. Gilman is talking about you can't insult our intelligence yet.
I have a different take on this 100-day thing.
Go ahead.
I really think it's a media-driven thing. Mm-hmm. And the media want to talk about things, and so the 100 days look like a colorful kind of topic to talk about. But what is really important is going forward. Mm-hmm. What is this government going to do? For example, take the case of Edwin Clark Martin. Mm-hmm. It's clear they are he's caught up in corruption. Now we expect either a suspension, an investigation to be open, and if possible, a prosecution. Because we know Boakai can act fast. When he wanted to undermine the Supreme Court, he acted within 48 hours.
On what basis?
When Stanley Ford, the current head of the FIU, was involved in corruption because he was CDC appointed, Boakai within 48 hours suspended him, so Boakai can act fast. So what we need to see from Boakai is strong and swift actions going forward. So that even because a presidency doesn't live or die based on 100 days. So going forward, let's assume you missed 90%, but what steps are you taking today to make sure that at least maybe on the first anniversary, you will have achieved a lot of those things that you promised? I don't see those actions being taken. For example, they have distributed all the government jobs But the job that was most important to Liberia is private sector jobs. What is the government playing for private sector jobs? I don't hear them talking about it. I want to hear them talk about distributing government jobs. How many of us can work for government? No, not that many. So they have to show now going forward what they can do. But I think the 100 days was some media kind of thing. We have discussed it. Let's get past it.
I beg to disagree. The 100 days is not a media thing. And the 100 days is a determining factor of what happens to the government going forward. Because I'm into project management, as a sustainable development person. We set tasks and targets. So we set tasks, the target was 100 days. So that should enthuse you, that should challenge you to do things. If the government set their own tasks and target that in the first 100 days we will do this, and they sat on their hands and did nothing, it tells you even in 6 years, they will also sit on their hands. In a simple Liberian thing, you got to put fire on the total bar for it to move. We want the government to move. That's why we're holding their feet to fire without bashing them. Bashing somebody is somebody's making effort to do something, and you still maliciously just try to disparage them. We're not bashing them. They've not done anything. Okay, NIPMOD is being overkind by giving them even 10%. It's a complete and utter failure. More than 100 days, Boakai has not completed all his appointment yet. The integrity pledge, they have not even signed that. I don't think Boakai himself has even signed his own integrity pledge that he put in the 100 days deliverable. Let alone the artists in the 100 days deliverable, they did not need money to do. And they couldn't even do the lowest hanging fruits. They couldn't get that. And then you say, oh, the 100 days is nothing. They will achieve it. If they could not do anything in 100 days, I have no confidence in them that 6 years they will perform. That's why we are sounding the alarm now so they can wake up from their slumber. They are really playing. They got misplaced priority. And then what even forced this conversation is the platform you came on as a rescue team. You came as a rescue team. So we expect you. You don't take somebody to emergency and the nurses are lackadaisical. No, when you take somebody to emergency, when that siren comes, that light is flashing, who's supposed to move the bed? Who's supposed to do? Everybody is in action. So you can't tell me you came to rescue and the first 100 days you slept in coma and you want us to have confidence in you. It's not media bashing them. It's nothing. It's their own failure. They need to wake up. And if we don't do this, you don't help your child by pampering them. When they fail, let them know they fail and they need to get up and do the right thing. They've been sitting on their hands playing around. Listen, this is not bashing. We love the government. I have said over and over on this show that it is too early. Let's give them time. But the path that they are on, if we don't sound the alarm, if we don't hold their feet to the fire, this is the path we're going to be on. I still want to see the list of the people that went for that meeting, that just concluded that meeting in Texas. I want to see that list. How many people did it take? The kind of policy Boakai is initiating, you can tell that they're not going to rescue. They're going to, even if we don't keep speaking, they might do worse than the Josh Weah administration. That's why we're speaking the way we do.
A fair point there, because it was us speaking out that made them to pull back the 26-man delegation list, reduce it to 9, and they still brought more than what they told us they have reduced it to, right? And Mr. J. Victor Namwe, so an emergency was declared.
Yes.
An emergency plan was put into place called the rescue plan. 10% has been achieved, 90% failure. Now, is this a good metric going forward, or it would be naive to say, well, you can't just use 100 days to have an idea of what's going to be done in the future?
Well, I agree with, I think it was the attorney who said, I think much has been said about this. I think it's quite obvious that, they have failed, and when we were talking about Delta here, somebody called me naive, and I think this is probably the naivete of this government, whether they were, they just overpromised The only reason why we're talking about these 107 deliverables is because they put them out there. This is an unforced error. You know, I think the organization is even generous to, to, I mean, I don't know what metrics they use. 10%, I think, is even generous. I think it's obvious. But the only good that can come out of this is that they know that people are paying attention and we're watching them and we'll continue to call them out. I think that's, but I think it's clear they overpromised and they under-delivered. I just hope going forward, they will engage themselves in substantive, action. Let their action speak, and not speak promises that will be difficult to deliver. That's all I gotta say about that. I think it's obvious they flopped on the 100-day promises, but hopefully they'll redeem themselves. I mean, somebody said again, Elvis, that I was easily impressed, but the president just got back from the States. He's already out of the country in another country, I think in Guinea-Bissau. So it looks like they're beginning to realize, that there's work to be done. So hopefully they are onto it.
All right. Well, that has the political analyst sees it, and that's okay, gentlemen. The final issue here, and we have 9 minutes, which is private jet has entered the political discussion. The Unity Party side is saying, look,
say again. They've been there before.
Yeah, the president has this trip to make. The person who invited the president provided a private jet. Why you want the president to reject that? Well, they are saying, even though we criticize the whole private jet thing, but our own was different. He said his friend has given it to him, and then we saw the jet hanging around. Some people believe that was trying to purchase the jet and all that. But the fact is, flew private jet for nearly the entire time of the administration. And Boakai criticized that. But then the very Boakai, we know he took a little private jet during the campaign with Benny Nanyure, and say, well, you can't criticize that too much. The man is not president yet. So now he's president, we see private jet. Is there something to even waste our time on? Because some people are saying this is insensitive. If you are a leader, you are in a poor country, even someone offer you a private jet, say, my man, let me fly commercial because, somebody somewhere is hungry. And I don't want to be seen as being sensitive to the outbreak. But this is the president. He needs to be comfortable to do the people's work. Some people argue. Where you stand on this argument, let's conclude on this. Jimmy, you from DC. You guys are DC boys that fly private jet. So talk to us.
We don't call it the airport. We call it the Clareport because we don't land where everybody can land. We land by ourselves. I heard the president speak on this issue today. When they asked him about the that he came with commercial, and he said, yeah, he came with commercial like everybody else. That was available. That's the more what they could afford. I don't really see anything wrong if a country sends their plane for the president to go pay a state visit. I don't especially find anything wrong with that. I am concerned when businessmen are making special gifts to our leaders, our representatives, because I know that can cause them to compromise their decisions because they will try to give favor for those who give them favors. That is why private favors are discouraged. But for a president to send a plane, if you come and visit me, I don't see anything wrong with that at all. And for us Liberian, we have to look at the cost. But again, we talk about opportunity cost. What is the cost of maintaining a plane here or leasing? A lot of times what we do is lease the plane, but we have to maintain that plane. We have to maintain the pilot, and all those things costs add up. Is it worth it compared to taking commercial whenever you really want to go? You have to weigh the two, and given your budget, given the constraints of your budget, you make that decision. The finance minister makes that decision, or whoever. But I really don't think anything wrong with the president using another country's national plane to go visit. I don't think anything wrong with that.
And the video you're talking about, when the president came, he said, well, we flew commercial, but if somebody offer us a job, a jet, we will take it. He said it. And so he got that offer. Probably this person heard it. That, the man said when I offered a jet, he would take it. But the bigger question that is concerning now is what he's been sent for, to do what? Is it to discuss some kind of agreement that will benefit the country? Maybe the person who invited the president has some vested interest in Liberia, want to come and do business or so, and now the president gets a jet, he's flying free, not paying a penny. When it comes to decision making, will he not be favorable to this person against the interest of the country, gentlemen?
That's where I would have spoken to, and Jimmy already helped me by speaking one of my points that I would have made. I had 2 points. Number one, national security, and number two, gifts and influence, because those kind of gifts don't come for nothing. They come with influence behind them. So those gifts will definitely influence the president's decision. Who knows? Whoever president sent for him, Guinea-Bissau or wherever, sent private jet, he might have interest in doing something in Liberia. Do you think they're going to take him through the proper vetting process that they would do for other companies? No, they're not going to do, because he's already offered a favor. And two, our national security. The president of another country, flying private jet owned by maybe somebody or another person, it jeopardizes our national security. Anything could happen to our president. It's a national security issue. That's why it is advisable presidents of countries should have private planes for their presidential planes. Yeah, we're not there yet flying commercial. Whether he fly private or commercial, who's sleeping hungry will still sleep hungry. There could be some, let me put in this caveat. Maybe flying private, he's not paying for it, could help the country, because that will save money from the commercial flight. But what happens to our national security? What happens to the undue influence that will have on our president's decisions?
That's a fine point there. Why is someone is passing behind the other president? I don't like that man. I don't want him to be president.
Yep.
Send for him with a private jet. Why in the head let this be done, and that he's zero?
Anthony, I don't know. I have my doubts. Yeah, because we have not seen the instrument in which the offer was made. So I have my doubts, especially given Boakai during the campaign. He went to Nigeria on private plane. He followed Costa to Ghana. He was accused of attempting to sell Wologisi. He has not addressed that. So Boakai doesn't have the level of integrity and credibility for me to trust his words. I have to see actual documentation. The other thing I want to say is the country Guinea-Bissau, the UN maintains a list of least developed countries from the 70s. On that list, there are about 45 countries, and Africa has like 33 countries on that list. Guinea-Bissau and Liberia have been on that list from the beginning up to now, from the 70s up to now, as one of the least developed countries. So the idea that a least developed country like Liberia, Guinea-Bissau will be sending a quote-unquote a VIP plane or whatever it is doubtful. And we also know that Guinea-Bissau doesn't have a good reputation when it comes to drug smuggling and a whole bunch of other things. So we don't know who's behind the offer. And I would like to see something more concrete than just the words of Boakai, because Boakai has gone to Ghana to talk with Costa investors. He's gone to Nigeria to talk with Benin investors. And he's done a whole bunch of other things that is questionable. He's hiding his assets. So when someone like that tell you, something like that, you have to take it with some doubts. So I don't think it's a good sign. But I'm not overly impressed about Boakai, because he's the same person who was with United Party when, they ran the country down. It's just unfortunately that Liberian people like to look back. So that's why they have.
And another thing, Jimmy, is this whole drugs things we're talking about. The president declared emergency on drugs in Liberia. Guinea-Bissau, Evis is posting yet that is notorious for drug trafficking. This is a president who is well advanced in age. They could put him on that plane, and because some of these drugs dealers are in business with some presidents who are corrupt. All right. So while he's returning, they could slip some drugs on that plane, and then it's in Liberia. Who's going to search it? He gets off the plane, enter a VIP lounge, he's gone. All right. Now the drugs in Liberia. The business is done there. So our leaders ready to put some thoughts in there. It's your take.
You talking to me?
Maybe I should come to Jerome, because it seems to be you are still thinking about DC, fly free. All right, gentlemen, let's get your closing statement. I think we've done well here with the discussion. You get us going here to close.
Are you taking course?
Huh? No, I got a number throughout. No one called. They felt that you guys are discussing what they don't need to add anything. So we didn't get any call. Get us going home. You're closing.
Well, I think during the George Weah administration, the Boakai,
I muted my video so fast.
Somebody mic is open.
Yeah, go ahead.
According to Mr. Is that Martin Colley and Yeke Koluba, any government official that received anything over $200 in gift is a crime. That was the thing that they were saying all over the place. There should be.
It's in the code of conduct law too.
There you go. No government official is allowed to receive a gift of more than $200. So if the commander-in-chief, the chief enforcer of our constitution and the law, is breaking that, then why should we take what he says seriously? Let's say they were all over President Weah for flying private jet. The day after, I guess a week or so after the inauguration, we saw the vice president on a very fancy private jet going to Nigeria or somewhere else. He said, I'm not responsible. Somebody gave it to me, so I took it. We heard overnight that President Waka was out of the country. He was in Ghana. He was on a military helicopter to Ghana. He said he went to meet with the president and stakeholder. The president was not even in Ghana. So that whole thing was another fiasco. And here we are again. When you talk about, I'm looking at the United States State Department website. That Guinea-Bissau is one of the 10 poorest countries in the world on earth. One of the 10th, and known for drug trafficking. So what made you think that the president over there, knowing the constraint that Joseph Boakai is so poor that he needs money, what made you think he's not being brought to Guinea-Bissau to meet drug dealers, drug kingpin, and make some deals because these guys are desperate? Just something to think about. Thank you very much.
All right. Jimin, you're closing.
Our people, our country, with all its potential, we see challenges, and it has to do with our own discipline and our own morals and our own unity. The other day we heard about unity. We celebrated National Unification Day. Are we unified? If we do not unify our efforts and our energies, it will always be challenging. People have said that we've seen more ethnic violence in recent decades than ever for long in our history. It is important that we come together and realize that we are one people on one cause. And that is the only way we need to approach our problems as one, and not to discriminate against any group. But what is even more important than even that is that we have a code of ethics and law that we follow in our hearts. That's how Liberia is going to change. And I wish the government goes on a campaign emphasizing the values that the Liberians should espouse, We need to talk about the values. Children need to hear the values. Students, elementary from early in their ages, they need to hear about these values so they will incorporate it in their growing up. And eventually, when you start thinking about these things, you eventually become that. So I think we need to make a lot of effort in just providing our youth and our countrymen values that they can espouse and keep talking about it until we get there.
Thank you. Pastor Salif, you're closing.
Thank you. I think what Liberia needs right now is an exemplary leadership. And as far as I'm concerned, JMB he's not being an example. Everything begins at the head. So if JMB wants to really rescue the country, he has to take an introspect and ask himself if he's leading by example. And if that answer he gets is no, then he needs to do more. He needs to step up and do more. And then his followers will do same. His cabinet and every other appointment he has made, people will follow because people follow a leader, So he has to step up. He has to do more for the country. We came as a rescue mission. He got to do more. And secondly, his handlers. I don't know who his handlers are. I think unless he doesn't listen to advice and he's advising himself, but I think his advisors around him, they're not doing a good job. They're misdirecting him. The people that have his ears, they are misdirecting him. And if anything happens, he's the one that the people will hold responsible. We're not going to hold Grisby. We're not going to hold any other person. We're going to say JFP failed. So he needs to think about that and become more proactive. He got to do better. I grade him, and my confidence in Joseph Boakai and his administration is based on what I saw happen in the 100 days. And they got to do more to rescue themselves before they can even rescue the country. Because I am just seeing a repeat of the administration he took over from. And there's still opportunity for them to course correct. And I hope that they listen to these kind of shows and other shows that also speak these things. And those that are speaking truth and trying to hold their feet to the fire, they shouldn't see them as being over criticized or over criticizing them. They should take some of these points, work on them, and do the right thing. I mean, gay man, I love him. He might be critical, but use his criticism to do something better. Use those who are, like Jimmy will say, bashi. Use those bashi and turn things around. But don't take them as, oh, these people don't like us. They're just trying to criticize us. No, that's what makes leaders fail. When you take criticism as something bad and not using it to your advantage, then you are headed in the wrong direction. That's all I want to say. We still give them some time. There's still room for improvement. So we will still hold our tongue and give them the benefit of doubt. Maybe down the road they might course correct. Thank you.
The Code of Conduct, Law of Liberia revised, according to Section 1.3.3 of the Code of Conduct, a casual gift is defined as any unsolicited present or gift of a modest scale given to a public official, employee of the government. And further down, it says that is more than $200. 200 US dollars in value. They're plain. It's a gift. It was not solicited. It was offered to the president, and he took the bid and he flew.
That's why we are suspicious
of the law. I'm not a lawyer, but that's how I understand it. J. Victor Nama, you're closing.
Well, thank you very much, my dear brother. First of all, I like my friend and brother Jimmy Eastman here to reassure him. I don't think he's a Congo man. And we the natives, we're trying to launder that Congo name of its derisive connotation, just like our brothers and sisters over here, changing NIGER to NIGGA. But I think we started with the status of the asset recovery. I think we all seem to agree here that is gasping right now for its last breath if the president doesn't quickly come to its rescue. I think we all agree something needs to be done. If it must drive home the intention, the intended purpose. We talked about the president's trip. I still think hopefully the report will show and hopefully the fruits will begin to bear out. I think it is good for this president to continue to hustle. He shouldn't just sit like the past president did and sat down in Jamaica all day long, did nothing. So I think
Jamaica result.
yeah, hopefully the results will come out soon to bear us out. On this question, I didn't speak about this plane situation, and I really agree with everything you guys are saying. I think I know, yes, he has to hustle and get out there, but we have to be careful with these potential Trojan horses offers. You know, just like everybody said, yeah, that country is suspect on the drug scale. We don't know who is sitting over there and encouraging our president to invite our president, send a private jet here to go. You know, so yeah, it really looks bad. I don't know. I hate to prejudge, but it doesn't look good. Even for the code of conduct that you just cited here. So, I'm glad that we'll continue to point this out. I think we did a wonderful job tonight. I'm not one to toot my horn. I'm sure we all know that, but I think we did a wonderful job tonight. We are here to help. I'm reading some of the comments here. People talking about negativity and all of that. No, we are not here to give this government a free pass. That's what we're doing here. But thank you again for the opportunity. I think it was a wonderful show.
All right. Who's left?
Oh yeah, I'm there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so thank you very much for the show. We'll be brief. So let me start with the asset recovery. In business, we call it cutting your losses. All right, we've already losing a lot. $750 going to, $1,000 going in the drain. The chairman has corrupted about half of that. Dissolve that committee. Dissolve it like today, so that you save the state additional losses. The only thing worse than making error is to continue in the error that you made, and you realize that you made an error. Cut your losses. Stop the error. When it comes to investment, the government needs to know that it takes a lot more than just going to a conference. It doesn't cut it because business people do cost-benefit analysis, cost-profit calculus. And when the calculus lay more on the profit side, that's when they invest. They're not going to invest because you made a great speech. On the issue of the private jet, I have serious doubts that Mr. Boakai is being honest about it. I know that he went to Nigeria to meet many Nigerian investors. I know he went to Ghana to meet Costa investors. I know he attempted to sell a Wologisi, which he has not addressed publicly. He needs to address that, And so when the same person who has done all of those start taking private jets, you have to wonder what's going on. Especially he has not declared his assets. So if you are not declared your assets, you can't be going.
He declared but has not published. He declared but has
not. That's the same to me. It's almost the same to me in my view. Okay, he has not published his assets. Okay, if you hiding your assets, I think that's the right word. If you are shielding your asset from public disclosure, you cannot be going around taking gifts. Okay, because there are implications for some of those things. So, and you can't tell me that Guinea-Bissau, that from the 70s to now, both Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, and 33 other African countries have been listed as the least developed countries. If a country that is the least developed country starts to offer you gifts, you have to ask yourself, common sense. Why are they offering me gifts? What do they want? Okay? So, brother, I don't believe like this 100-day thing, we should hold him like that much, but I believe that he now has an opportunity to know that the starting was not good, but that he can make progress. What he needs to do is to get back to the drawing board and see how he can make progress. I would like to see discussion about private sector jobs. It's one of the most important things in the country. They have not said anything about it. They need to start talking about it. So those are the kinds of things that when you start talking, and you know that you are getting ready to be like open to investors, and you are getting ready to get investors, you know, talking about Liberia and considering coming to Liberia. So I will stop on that note.
Gentlemen, I can't thank you enough for your brilliant perspective on the topics, current issues that we discuss. Folks, thank you for staying here, for sharing, commenting, and participating. I know I opened the line, I was paying attention. I didn't see any of you until I ended it because it cost money. So thank you and thank you. This is how we'll come to the end of this edition of our program to focus on Liberia. As usual, we will close with our song that says, "We are all Liberians." Thank you for watching. We'll catch you soon, and bye-bye. Thank you, guys.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home.